Yeah, great. Awesome. Get into it, Bucko.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Another episode of Teed Up this week. We're diving into another college basketball. We haven't really talked about it too much in a little bit. The new rankings came out this week. We got some crazy, crazy good matchups on Saturday, probably the best Saturday of the year. A lot of ranked teams are playing, some big time games. We got a couple neutral games. We got the CBS Classic, which always contains some real good talent, real good games in there. Let's dive into the top 25. We got a new number one. Houston went down last week. They played Alabama. Alabama at the time was ranked 8. Houston was 1. So Alabama moved up to 4, and Houston dropped down to 5, which rightfully so, because now it was if like Alabama came in there, blew out Houston. That was a tough fall game. That atmosphere in Houston was unreal. I look at that as a fantastic win for Alabama going into enemy territory. Within that crowd was juiced up, man. They
Oh
were
yeah.
ready to go. There was about 7,000 fans, they said, but watching that game, it sounded as if there was maybe 14, 12,000 fans in that stadium. That was my matchup of the week to see how Alabama could go in there. But UConn, another team that jumped up in the rankings. So, okay, so let me ask you this: what team do you think in that top 10, top 25 made the biggest jump, and which team do you like the most?
Hmm. I really I'm not the biggest fan of like listen, the top five that they set, it has to be the top five right now, like based on their
Yeah, I
resumes
agree.
and such. But
Absolutely.
I'm not sold on those top five teams to stay in the top five the whole season. I think they're starting off well, they're good teams, but I expect once these teams like Kentucky, Gonzaga, UCLA, once they get into their conference play, they're going to start rising up because they have much less competition to play in their conference. So I
Yeah.
expect those three teams to find their way back into the top 10 in little to no time, especially after this Saturday. This Saturday is going to dictate a lot of
Yeah.
great matchups. Um, I'm the team I like the most in the top five, I'll say, is UConn. I
Yeah.
think
They look great.
Danny Hurley's a great coach, and he like just brings the best out of his players. Nobody,
Absolutely.
nobody transferred out of UConn, which is just like a testament. That's an oddity these days. Like they're
Yeah.
not transferring out. That doesn't happen much. But that's just like a testament to Hurley's coaching and his relationship building with his team. I love what he's doing with that team. The young guys are blossoming, like Jordan Hawkins, Andre Jackson. They're really starting to come into their own. They have a great big man in there in Adama Sanogo. He's
Sonogo
dominating on
and what's the other big man's name? The white dude.
Donovan Clingan.
Klingham.
I,
Yeah, he's also looking good.
he's massive. He's like I think he's a freshman. He was a big recruit also, but they look great.
Literally
I
big
really
recruit.
do. They proved me wrong. Yeah, they proved me wrong against Florida. I took them as a play where I thought Florida could come in there at home and maybe sneak a win off UConn, but UConn's youth really doesn't scare me anymore. Like
No.
they're starting to show that they're playing like an experienced team, and it's like I think they have the chance of all five of those teams to stay in the top five the longest. I think Purdue, to me, at any point, Zach Edey gets in foul trouble. I think they lose a game. Like, and that's going to happen. Your big man's going to get in foul trouble. That offense
Yeah.
revolves around him. It's simple. Get it into him. You want to double down? Fine. We have shooters on the arc. So it's like they just have a very simple game over there. But if anything were to happen to Edey, foul trouble, God forbid he gets hurt, that team is done.
Right. See, when I look at Purdue, it's like when you have a big man like that, and when they were playing Duke, they got the ball into Edie, and Edie gets himself into position almost every single time to go get an easy dunk on that. I mean, he is what 7'3", 7'4". Like dunking's
It's
easy
fucking
for him. So like, but the fact that he gets in position, like he's getting out the space, he's down low on the block, and he's making whatever defender is on him, whether it's the big man or if he has a mismatch, he's clearing them out. So all you gotta do is just throw a little lob pass over the shoulder, and he's catching it, and boom, right there. It's not like he's getting in the post, he's backing him down with using strength. He's getting right to him. Like he's getting the ball and he's boom, dunking right away. And it's almost automatic now. Like it's not like as if he's struggling to get that position and then at the end of it he's barely winning. it's happening early. So I don't know what it is with the team, whether it's just good spacing and there's no one really there to help, if it's just Edey being that dominant down low, um, if it's the pass, maybe they're just great at doing the pass. But if you're just getting simple baskets like that, it just makes the game that much more simpler.
See, last year when they had Travion Williams, who got drafted by the Celtics, it was like if something did happen to Edey, you had a great second option, like great. He could
You
pass out
forgot
of the
Ivy's
post.
there.
Yeah, he could pass out of the post. He was crafty in the paint, and now it's like if Edey gets hurt, I don't know who's filling that role or if he gets in foul trouble. Excuse me, that team looks like they're in a lot of trouble. But
No, you're right.
you can't guarantee he's going to get hurt. I will say this though, Alabama of the top five. As much as I like a lot of players on that team, I would be shocked if they were in the top five in 2 weeks. I don't
Uh,
think they're gonna be in there. So
I don't know about that.
Nimari Burnett was the guy who he clamped up Marcus Sasser in that game against Houston.
Yes, he
I
did.
declared him the MVP of that game. He clamped Sasser, which is damn near impossible to do.
Yeah.
And he had wrist surgery last night or 2 nights ago. So he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Now they had three freshmen in the starting lineup last night against Memphis. That was a good game. Memphis is no slouch, but that was a good game. Probably closer than most number four teams in the country should
At
have
home.
made it, but at home. So I'm a little skeptical about Alabama going forward. It really just depends on their freshmen and who can rise to the occasion.
See, I mean, I'm not, no knock on Memphis here. Like their coach, great. Like Penny's a good coach. Like they struggled a little bit with him the past couple years. He was a new coach to D1 to Memphis, so it's not going to be the easiest road right away. So he's seen it all thick and thin. Like he's seen how to coach now these big time games, these big time matchups. They were ready for the intensity. Simple. Like Alabama, they play with intensity. They're ready to get after it. And also Memphis played some SEC schools already. That was their first loss to an SEC school. Like, it's not like everybody else they're playing is great. Like Auburn's not the greatest team, but it's still a step up from the American Conference in all these games that they were playing. So I mean, I like Alabama. I think they play with not having what's his name, Bennett not getting hurt. That's not a good thing. They need the defensive guy. It's like if you have one guy that's ready to go after one of your best guards or ball handlers and score, and you could say they could shut him down, that's always a plus. I think they could score the ball well. I think Quinerly is going to give them good leadership. It's not like he's just a dominant ball scorer. He can dribble, he can pass, he's smart. I think Alabama can stay within the top five. I mean, it's always hard to stay there. Like you're going to lose, teams are going to win. It's always tough to stay within there, especially when teams like Houston right behind you. Duke hasn't played too well. They haven't played too many top teams just yet. And Whitehead's been hurt. He's just starting to get back. So like Duke will be there. Kentucky will be there. Gonzaga is going to be there because they're going to win their entire conference with these. That happens every year. So you add these teams in, yeah, it's going to be tough to stay there. Virginia in the top five, they're another team I'm looking like they're just like Houston to me. I look at their defensive intensity is through the roof, and they're known for that. They're coached great. They're scoring the ball much better this year. They're holding teams that are great at scoring, like JMU, to 50 points. Yeah, JMU is not a big time school, and I was telling you that before. Like, it's not a big name, but when you can score 100 points more over 5 times this in a game, they did it I think six times this year, and he also scored 95 plus in 8 games this year, and you held them to 50 and 20. I think it was 27% shooting. Like, yeah, you're gonna be all right. It starts at the defensive end. The scoring will come. You create scoring off of the defense. That's how especially in college. That's how I look at it. If you can steal, make some stops, quick outlets, quick rebounds, boom, you're going, you run fast, you'll be all right.
I don't give a fuck about Virginia. I'm like just not sold on them. Like, they're always a great defensive team. Like Tony Bennett always runs a great defensive team, but like I just don't see a guy on that team where it's like one possession left, you need somebody to get a bucket, or that shot clock's running down. Who are you going to give the ball to? Like I just don't see that kind of guy on that team. I see nothing special on the offensive end. I think when they play Houston this Saturday, they're going to get the brakes beaten off of them. I
True.
think it'll
I
be a
mean,
low scoring game, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if Houston won because Houston can score and play defense.
yeah, no, you're right.
Virginia's
Absolutely.
just playing defense. I think if Houston can find their way to score, like realistically, I could see that game getting very ugly.
No, no, that's for sure. Especially if Sasser, he didn't play too well against Bama, like you said. So as long as he just plays a little bit better than what he did, they'll be all right. Just because he is that dude and he's that guy. My thing is, in college, you can get away with not having that score, just for the sheer fact of it's college. You don't really need to. You can make some key stops where at the end of the game you can be up 3 with 40 seconds left in the ball. All you have to do is hit free throws. It's not like you need that clutch shot. You can look for a foul. They're a little bit, officials are a little bit whistle heavy in college. So if you play the game right and you manage it right, you don't necessarily need to set yourself up to hit a big shot. Or if you just have a great play call, like your coach has a play, he's ready to go with the clipboard, and you do need a shot. You're down one, last possession, that type of thing where it's like you just need a two, or even you get to the free throw line with that. It At the end of the day, you don't really need that score until later on in March. March is a different story. That's you got to have a guy in March to lead your team. That's one thing. But within the regular season, I think Virginia would be just fine. I think they'll stay within the top 10 a majority of the season. Come ACC play, though, they have Duke, they have North Carolina. Syracuse is always going to be a tough game just because they're going to force you to shoot. I know that. You'd like that. You're a dumbass
We'll see.
Syracuse fan. But at the same time, they're not as talented as years before. So scoring will be the problem. That will be the problem versus Virginia as a Syracuse guy,
Yeah,
Forgetting who NC State's not bad this year too. They're bouncing back. So they're
I
they're gonna have they're gonna be tested.
I wouldn't be surprised. Back to Houston real quick. Some people would consider this a hot take. Like, I don't think it's a hot take at all. Houston's loss to Alabama will be their only loss in the regular season.
Mm. If
In
they
the
beat Virginia,
AAC,
so you don't think, or so you think they're gonna beat Virginia this weekend and that they're not gonna lose one singular conference game. Not one singular one this whole rest of the way.
yeah, I think they'll potentially beat the brakes off Virginia and then coast through conference play. I don't think they'll lose another game the rest of the season, to be honest with you.
Interesting. I See, I just find it difficult to say. I mean, yes, it's like it's not as if they're in like a conference like Gonzaga, where like Gonzaga's best competition is really St. Mary's, and St. Mary's is not good every year. I look at it like Memphis, they were trending forward when Penny got hired. They had a couple bad years, right? They were supposed to be better than what they were. They had some top talent. But this year, I think it's just a little different. I think Penny's figured out the college game more. I think he's been there, done that, got the experience as a coach, right? Um, I think their guard play is good. I think when the way they played versus Bama last night, they're not afraid of anything. They played great against Bama, the number 4 team in the country on the road. Not saying it's incredibly hard to play on the road in Bama. Like it's not like it's a Cameron Indoor, like how Houston was last week. I'm not saying it's like that, but it's still a testament to the team themselves. I think they played twice. I think Memphis can beat them because realistically, all it takes is one game for one player to be hot and one player to be cold, right? Like so, Sasser say he doesn't have a good game. There's other players on Houston. Not saying they're not going to step up, but if Sasser doesn't have a good game, realistically, the odds of Houston winning plummet to like very not very little, but they plummet a lot. He is their team offensively, right? I think Memphis could go in there. Maybe not on the road. Maybe it's a away game for Houston that they lose just because Memphis will be rocking too. Like they're gonna want to beat one of their rivals, one of their conference play guys that are in top 5. Houston might even be number 1 at the time. You never know. If they don't lose another game, Purdue's gonna be every team's bound to lose. No one's gonna go undefeated. So if Houston their only loss is Bama, they're gonna be number 1 by conference play. I I just find it difficult to think that they're not going to lose the rest of the way.
I think, yeah, like if Sasser has a poor game, their chances of winning go down. But like in that Bama game, he had a pretty bad game, and two, three other guys stepped up still, and like they were up 15 points at one point. Like they smoked that game on their own. They were fully capable of beating Alabama, even with Sasser having a poor game. The difference
Right.
is Memphis, their guy Kendrick Davis, he scored 30 last night against Bama, and they lose. You score 30 against Houston. I can't see like if Kendrick Davis will have to have the best game of his life to beat Houston, in my opinion, because he's going to have better defenders on him than there were in the Alabama game. Because now with Lamar Burnett out for 6 to 8 weeks, really puts a damper on what they can do.
No, yeah, absolutely. You know, the 6 to 8 week thing, that's a long period of time. What's that? What's December? They'll come back right around that, end of the season, right around when conference tournaments are happening and in March. But I don't know. It's just tough to be at the top for so long. Like you look at that Kentucky team, that was almost undefeated. They lost to Wisconsin in the Final Four. Look at who was on that roster, right? The Harrison twins, been there. They were experienced. They're the most experienced on that team. Karl-Anthony Towns, one of the, look at the league, he's in the league right now, one of the best big men in the league. Devin Booker, arguably one of the best players in the league right now. And he was their sixth man. That team, they were filled with talent. Filled with it. Willie Cauley-Stein, what was the Trey Lyles? They had like 4 or 5 guys drafted in the first round. They couldn't even go under. I mean, they went undefeated in the regular season, but at the end of the day, they lost to Wisconsin, who just had Frank Kaminsky, and there was another shooter on the team, Decker, 2 NBA guys, right? It's just not like, I mean, it's possible they have the loss and they have that under their belt, but to always win, it's just they're in college, they're not professionals,
I'm
they're
saying regular
amateurs.
season. I'm saying
Yeah,
regular season.
no, yeah, right. Yeah, no, I even still in the regular season, there's a lot of games to be played still. It's not like they have 5 games left. They have all of conference play and some.
If they were in a
They still
different
have.
conference, I wouldn't feel this way.
So Cincinnati's also not a terrible team, and they're in there, right? It's
But
Cincinnati, Memphis.
Houston is just the perfect balance of teams in the country with defense and offense. They have the offensive power, and that defense turns everything into offense. So, and they're a great rebounding team. That freshman too, Jarris Walker, love him. The kid's a dog. Like they're gonna be. I can't see them losing another game the rest of the season. I really believe that. If they lose to Virginia this weekend, I will honestly be utterly shocked.
So like I mean, they're not gonna play perfect every game the rest of the way. So like that's why I look at if they don't play perfect, the other team will obviously have a chance. They're gonna have to play perfect defensively though. Offensively, they're not gonna be there every game. But defensively, they're gonna need to be there if they don't want to lose. I I just think teams are gonna have not get lucky one game, but they're just gonna be on. They're just gonna hit shots. They're gonna
It
be able to
happens.
move the ball around. I could see it going both ways. I just don't think it's gonna
Yeah,
put it that way.
it's my little hot take I'll say for the year, but I just really like Houston that much. I think they're gonna win the championship as well. Like they're a
That's fair.
well-rounded team. I love their team.
I agree, but we'll step aside another topic. Texas had some big news come out of their program this weekend. Their head coach Chris Beard was arrested on felony domestic violence charges. They didn't come out with many details exactly who it was, what family member, was it a woman, was it a minor, was it a man, those kind of details. But the program did suspend him without pay until further notice, until they could figure out exactly what's going on. So I mean, Case, how do you think this is going to affect their team?
I think so. It will affect Texas obviously because he just brings like this intensity on the sideline that just amps the team up. Like his energy just carries this team in a way. Yeah, he's got great players, but they only play as well. I feel like, or will we don't know yet, but I feel like they will only play as well as they can with him on the sideline. He's the energy of this team. So they are a great team. I could see them playing well, but it'll be very hard to sustain a top 10 performance week in, week out
Yeah.
without his presence. But I would expect him to be back in 2 weeks or so. I'm not too worried about it. I mean, not saying that should happen, but just how things go, I expect him to be back in a couple weeks.
Yeah, like I don't know how to exactly feel about the how long it's gonna take. Just because like felony is one thing. If it was misdemeanor, I would be a little bit different because then I'll be like, it was domestic violence, but wasn't bad. Like what happened? But a felony, that just automatically, how I look at it, it was a minor or a woman, plain and simple, one of the two. Um, and I don't know how college basketball is going to handle this. We don't really see many cases like this with coaches, at least. We do see players, unfortunately, like mess up with some gun charges, like Amoni Bates. He's playing. That was a misdemeanor though. That wasn't a felony. But then we have Dior Johnson, how he, I don't even know exactly what happened with him, but he held a woman hostage. He's done. But like in the NFL, they not allow, but they're a little bit less lenient with domestic violence. So I don't know. We'll have to see how the college basketball and NCAA does do this. But I look at it as if, yeah, he's their heart and soul, but I'm looking at Carr and Hunter. Unfortunately, I would have thought Randy would be great, but obviously he's with Arizona now. Um, I think Carr is going to be the guy for them. He's going to be looked at. He's the leader. He's one of the more experienced players in the team. He's the point guard, like he's going to be the on-court coach. He's going to be a guy at practice, making sure, holding everybody accountable. He's going to be the one yelling a little bit because I don't really know who their coach is going to be now. I mean, I'm sure they announced it or they know themselves, like with the team. But what do you think Carr's going to be the guy that steps up, or do you think it's going to be somebody else or a collective effort saying, look, we got to band together while our coach is gone?
It's going to have to be Carr. Carr is not only like that leader physically on the floor, but he's the vocal leader as well. Tyrese Hunter is a little quiet. He kind of just goes out there and plays, which is fine. Every team has a player like that.
Right.
But Carr is the vocal guy on that team, so he's going to have to carry it not only on the floor in games, but practices, outside of practices. They need to know, because I'm sure when you go to play for Chris Beard, you know the intensity you're going to get, and you know all the
Yeah.
tribulations he's going to put you through. So it's like you're going to need somebody to do their best to fill his spot. The way he coaches is irreplaceable. I would say he's kind of one of a kind in a sense this day and age. The way he just fires up a team, but
Yeah.
he somebody's going to have to fill his spot, and I expect it to be Carr.
No, yeah, I fully agree with that. Carr's he's gonna step up. This is a big step for him too. Like this could boost his stock. This could really truly make him a nationally known player. Not only will he be a guy that's going to be leading a team, but if he steps up and improves his play not without, but like if he just improves his play, I think scouts are going to love it. This is a great storyline for him himself, not the team. Him himself. This is a great moment for him and a moment that can really elevate him to that next level.
I agree. It's definitely, this whole scenario is definitely something to keep an eye on. How long Chris Beard will be out, how they'll
Right.
play without him, who's going to step up. Definitely something to keep an eye on. But to move over into this Saturday, I think this is, in my opinion, this is going to be not only the best Saturday of the year, but I think so far this is easily the best day of the year for college basketball. It's just like the holy grail slate.
Yeah.
Like we have everything
Absolutely.
going. I want your opinion on the first game of the day, 12 o'clock. Number 14 Indiana at number 8 Kansas. That should be fun.
I honestly look at that game and you look at obviously it's the two big men, it's McCormick and Tracy Jackson. After watching North Carolina get their asses handed by Indiana, I was just impressed by Tracy Jackson. Is it Tracy Jackson Davis? Tracy Davis Jackson?
I think it's Trace Jackson Davis, and I don't
Trace,
think
yeah.
McCormick's there anymore.
I thought he was still there.
The,
I'm pretty sure he's still there.
I don't remember seeing him.
Let's see.
Big number 34,
33, I thought he was.
33. I didn't think he was there. I thought he left, but I could be. For some reason, I don't remember seeing him while I was watching games.
Let's see.
Who? Because Jalen Wilson plays like their 3 or their 4 now. He gets their big buckets. Who is that center? I feel like
Oh
I
no,
would have.
yeah, you're right. He isn't there. It's Jalen Wilson leading the team. You're right. Um, either way, that's a better matchup because McCormick's a little bit big. He's a true center compared to Jalen Wilson. He's a little bit more athletic. But I'm looking at that game as just it's going to be a tough battle, man. That's going to be a great game because that's in Kansas, right?
Yeah,
I
Allen
think it's like
Fieldhouse.
that's one of my more underrated games of the weekend because those are two teams that they're active defensively too. You know, you got some good prospects either way, like Grady Dick. He's another prospect could shoot the lights out. I'm looking at Trace Jackson and because Indiana they haven't, after that UNC game they kind of fell off a bit. Um, they had a pretty bad loss to Rutgers. They scored 48 points. So like that performance alone dropped them mightily. That dropped them down to 14, I think they're at now. So they got to get back on track. This would be a great win to get on their resume. Kansas number 9. In either way, whichever team, I think they're not going to make a crazy bounce up. They're not going to go into the top 5. They're not going to go to number 3 or something. They're not going to fall back out of the top 25. But I want to say I want to go with Kansas. There's just something about Indiana. I don't know. I don't know what it is with Indiana. After watching them play and how active and how great they are defensively, it's just a matter if they put their mind to it.
See, I'm stumped on this game because I think Jackson Davis will dominate in the paint, but I also think that Kansas's 1 through 3 positions are gonna have great games themselves. So
Yeah.
I really don't know how this game is gonna go, but if I had to pick a side, I like I said, I don't know what the spread is. Games are Saturday, haven't come out yet, but I assume Kansas is going to be favored, and I would honestly probably lay the points with Indiana. I think Jackson Davis is going to be a real problem.
It's gonna be a close game. It's not gonna be like a -7 spread. I think it's probably gonna be if I had to put I'm thinking it's gonna be a 4-point game. I could see 5 with free throws at the end. I could see them being up 3 and then hitting 2 free throws to really end it. Or I could see it being 4. It's gonna be a close game. That's for sure. Both good, well coached teams. That's one thing.
That'll definitely be. I'm excited for that game. I'm excited for all the games, but like that to kick the day off, that's a great game
Yeah,
to start.
12. And then you go into Houston, Virginia. It's like the defensive battles just going on. These games that they had this weekend. I don't know, man. I don't know what they were if they just were excited for the weekend before Christmas. They're like, look, Christmas Day you got NBA games, and this year you got NFL on Christmas Eve. We're gonna take the weekend before. This is our weekend now. This is college basketball.
So
It could be that.
before Houston, Virginia, because I can go on about that game. The another big game before that, Bama at Gonzaga.
Right. Yep. That's another.
Uh,
That's another one for. That's a huge game for Gonzaga. Huge.
yeah,
That's
I
they
got
have 3
Gonzaga.
losses already.
Yeah, I think Gonzaga is going to take that game. I don't see Alabama having much of an answer for Anton Watson and Drew Timmy. Once again, like I said a couple weeks ago, it's going to rely on Gonzaga's guard play.
Yeah.
They're young, Alabama, but at the same time now, Alabama's playing with some freshmen too. So we could be at an even playing level here, but I think Gonzaga has the edge on experience and depth. Depth is going to be
Yeah.
big because now Bama has to throw more freshmen in. Nate Oates is going into a bench that he may not want to have tapped into for a game like this, but
Right.
now he has to. Burnett not being there changes the game completely because now you're throwing in maybe 1 or 2 more players who hasn't probably played more than 13 minutes a game this year, and now they're going to have to
Right.
be relied on for 20, 22 minutes. So I can really see Gonzaga taking control of this game. I'm excited for that game.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. I think Gonzaga takes this one. I think Bama's been on a hot streak. They've had these good opponents. They've played well against them. They played UConn. They were battle tested against UConn. They were battle tested against Houston. They were battle tested last night against Memphis. I just think it's going to come down to, Timmy's going to be able to control the game like how he usually does. He's going to be a force. But there's just the Nemhart matchup with whoever is at guard, whoever is playing point guard against him at the time, like whether it's Quinerly or the backup. I just think Nemhard's gonna. He has the advantage. He has the IQ. He's smart. It like we talked about him weeks ago. But beginning of the season, he's
Nemhard's
got
gone. Nemhard's in the league, brother.
other one, buddy.
The other one's
Oh,
on
I'm
with
thinking of
Creighton.
Creighton. I'm thinking of Creighton. I'm stupid. I'm stupid.
Calling me buddy.
Yeah, no, yeah. You got me on that one. I was wrong about that. But yeah, it's still gonna come down to the guard play. The big
Yeah.
men are gonna do their thing. I'm still looking at Gonzaga. I like Gonzaga, but if Bama comes out there with the fire and they take a step up, I could see it being a close game. I don't think this is going to be a little close. I think Bama's going to be not tired, but when you play all these big matchups in a row, you're gonna fall at one point.
Yeah, I think Gonzaga probably wins this game by at least 7 points, in my opinion. I think Gonzaga handles the pace in this game and really
Yeah,
dictates it. So
Gonzaga
that
plays good pace too. They don't like to slow it down too often. They do like to run. So
yeah, yeah, I think this is where they start to right the ship for the rest of their season here. Um, the other,
what's the next one? Is that the Houston Virginia's next?
yes,
Yeah, we spoke about that for a little bit now. That game's intriguing to me. It's just going to be whatever team comes out more hot. Whoever comes out in the first half and shows that they're ready to go. I think they win. They're going to be whoever does that will control the pace. I'm gonna take Houston. I think Sasser goes off.
Houston by 11 plus. Book it. That's all I
I,
got.
I don't know about that. I don't know how big of a margin, but I do like Houston. I just think it's gonna be a battle tested defensive matchup, and whenever it's defensive like that, usually they keep it close. Anyway. That under is gonna be crazy. I'm looking at like a 50-54.
Yeah, the under's probably gonna be somewhere in like the 120s. I'm thinking.
Yeah, yeah. No more than 130. No more.
But if it goes over, if the over hits, Houston will win
Houston,
by.
they murder them if it goes over.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Absolutely,
That's gonna
absolutely.
be my game to watch this weekend. I'm thrilled to watch that game.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The
But
next
my
one, what's it?
Next one is all you, buddy.
I was gonna say, is that the
UNC,
Ohio State
Ohio
UNC?
State. Yes.
See, what the biggest thing in that game, UNC played the other night, last night against Citadel, and they put up 100. They won by 33, I think it was, something like that, as they should. But they finally played together. Caleb Love was finally consistent. But I'm looking at Baycott versus Zed Key. I look at that matchup, or if it's Nance versus Zed Key, I think they might switch off. I just think Baycott has a better advantage. He's a little bit he's stronger than Key. Nance is a little bit more weaker. He's not as strong defensively. So if as long as Baycott holds him to under 12, which I think he will, I think it's going to be a real tough game for Zed Key tomorrow. It's a neutral site, so it's not even on the road for either team. It's in the city. It's in New York City at MSG. Spotlights are all over the place. I, I'm taking UNC to upset. I mean, some people may not see it as an upset just because of who's on the team and all, but realistically, it's an upset right now. UNC started out 5-0, lost 4 straight. Now they won 2 straight. Um, I really think it comes down to the big man play. Which group of big men plays better at the end of the day? You control the glass, control the board, control the tempo. That's how the game's gonna go.
I don't think it's an upset. I don't think it would be an upset one. And I really do think UNC is going to be favored in this game. And I think UNC wins the game by, I think UNC wins fairly easily too. And this is another game. I wouldn't be surprised if UNC came out angry and beat the shit out of Ohio State. Like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
think Ohio State's that good. I really don't. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if UNC came out here and beat the hell out of Ohio State. I think UNC should be favored at least 4 points. Like I
See,
know they've had a down 4 games, but the thing is like they were still the number one team in the country and viewed that way. So it's not like, all right, just because they're playing poorly now, like, or it's not like anybody got injured either. I know they had a poor few games, but if they play at their best, some people would still view them as the best team in the country. And I think this is going to be a game, big stage, where they have the potential to play their best. I think they handle Ohio State with ease.
absolutely. No, it's like you said, when they're at their best, they are one of the best teams in the nation. We know that. We saw in March Madness early in the year they weren't as great. They always start out slow. They have to figure out how to play with each other every year, which doesn't make sense. They played with each other all last year, minus Manic. I mean, last night how they played, they looked like a top 10 team. They I think they had 20 something assists, 25 assists. I think it was the first time all season they had that, which that's how Carolina's supposed to play. You're supposed to get the assist, ball movement, nonstop going, cutting, screens, backdoor screens into the backdoor cuts, like throwing some oops, drop down passes to the big man, work through the big man. So if they work through the big man and everything starts to collapse and the shooters are shooting, it's good. I like that. I like UNC's chances.
Yeah,
But
I think he handles them.
then at the nightcap at 10:30, which sucks at that 10:30, but it is what it is. Tennessee and Arizona.
I
I
forgot about that one. I was gonna,
Yeah.
yeah. There's another one before that. We'll go into after that.
Oh, UCLA. Oh no, that was
UCLA,
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Yeah, UCLA, Kentucky. That's after the Ohio State. That's the other CBS Classic. That's right.
That'll be fun too.
Yeah. So yeah, no, UCLA, Kentucky. That'll be real good. UCLA's like they look pretty solid recently. Amari Bailey's scoring double digits. He's looking like the prospect everybody thought he was. Um, Kentucky. I think Kentucky wins this one. I like Kentucky's team more. I think they're led better. I think Tshiebwe's slowly becoming who he is last year. Um,
I agree.
I don't know who's your player to watch in that. Which do you think is Bailey or is it Tshiebwe
I don't give
or is
a
it somebody else?
I don't give a rat's ass about Amari Bailey. He to me is like this guy wants to perform when he's playing like mid teams, and then when it comes to a game where he's supposed to show up. That game against Illinois, when it was Sky Clark, freshman Illinois, and
Mm-hmm.
then freshman Amari Bailey, Sky Clark played like a vet. He handled the
Yeah,
game well. He controlled it as a point guard. Amari Bailey was nowhere to be found. Literally nowhere to be found. I'm not even sure if he made a field goal that game. Like I'm not big on how he's been playing lately or this season to say, but my player to watch in that game, aside from the big names like Jaime Jaquez for UCLA and
Tiger Campbell.
for Kentucky, yeah, and Campbell. I'm watching Jacob Toppin for
Oh yeah,
Kentucky. He's his game against Gonzaga, he was the only one that kept them in that game. He was absolutely money from the mid range. He's fearless and he goes after his buckets. So I think if he can get control of his game, I think that'll really help them a lot. For UCLA on the other side, I'm watching Adem Bona, the freshman center. This is his toughest task of the year by
hell yeah,
far.
it is.
You're
Probably
going up
gonna be his toughest task.
yeah, you're going up against the former player of the year and arguably still one of the most
The
dominant
front runner.
players in the country, if not the. So I think that's going to be a huge test for him. You go out there, and if you can handle or at least contain Oscar Tshiebwe, your draft stock's through the roof already
Oh,
as a.
absolutely.
So I
And
think
when you
that's
say contain, it's like containing him to 15-7. That would be containing him, which is
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that just shows how good he actually is. So if it's anything better than that, you are gonna see scouts are gonna love this guy.
yeah. That's my matchup to watch for that game. But I agree with you. I think Kentucky takes this game. I even though that is my matchup to watch, I still think Tshiebwe wins that matchup fairly easily.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
He's going to know how to dominate the freshman, get inside like his head in a way, and just kind of control that matchup down low. I don't think Bona really stands much of a chance, but this is his opportunity
Yep.
to show it. So
I fully agree with that. And then, the nightcap 10:30 game. I think this is also another overlooked game. It's at 10:30, so people aren't really gonna tune in unless you're on the West Coast. But I look at this game and this has top 5 team potential, whoever wins. Tennessee, I'm looking at this as the guard play game. Ziegler and Rainey going at it. Whoever wins, I look at that matchup. Whatever team wins will have the better guard play as at that game. I think Ziegler, his speed, his ability to get around defenders, his playmaking ability, it's there. I like Arizona in this game though. Tennessee just doesn't sit right with me. That team isn't. I don't know what it is with the team themselves, to be honest with you. I just like Arizona's realistic. I like their experience a little bit more. I like what they do offensively a little bit more. Tennessee's never been good to me. Not they've never been great to me. I look at this, and if they win this game against Arizona, they'll have you kind of got to put them into the top five after this weekend. I don't think they're a top five team. I think they're a top 10, top 15, but they're nothing special to me.
I think I'm on the other side of you on this one. I think as much as I like Arizona, I've been an advocate for them most of the season. I think this game is going to be so fun because the matchups here, right? You have your guard matchups with Ziegler and then Ramey, and then also Santiago Vescovi for Tennessee. Like he very well could. I don't think he will be. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does for that Tennessee team. But I have him right now in like my top 5 player of the year conversation.
Wow.
He because he's not putting up gaudy stats. Like he's not
No.
doing that. But like I'm thinking MVP wise, like he is so valuable to that team. Great shooter, plays solid off ball defense. He gets his hands in the passing lane. He's also like the leader of that team without being the point guard, which is like, yeah, Ziegler is great. I do really like him, but Vescovi kind of just like controls the tempo of that team, and they kind of run it through him. They have the big men down there, Yurvos Plasic. I don't know how to pronounce his friggin' name. And then Arizona's got Tubelis and Omar
Balo.
Bal. Yeah, they have like the bigs there, and then the guards. Like I don't know which way I'm gonna lean, but I just think this is. I think this Saturday for Tennessee will be. I know they're ranked, so like it's hard to say this, but like a true coming out party for Tennessee. Like they really will show
Hey,
this Saturday why they are.
I hope they
Like,
do prove me wrong because the SEC will just be that much better if they're good.
oh
I
yeah,
look like the Balo matchup to me. The man's averaging 18 and 9. Like that. Those are just almost a double stats going up against the what was the dude's name you just said? Their big man.
Yurvos Plavic or something. I don't know his
Yeah, I'm
name.
not gonna be. I'll never be able to say that. Yeah, like realistically, I'm looking at the bigs that they're gonna do their thing. That's why I think the point guard play that Rainey experienced dude. I think him and Ziegler are gonna go at it. Whoever wins the game, they're gonna control the pace of play and how the game's played. So whichever guy can do it more, that's the winner.
I do have one other matchup that it's not a great matchup, but like I just hope for some reason it's got a little drama. So Davidson is playing Purdue. All
Oh,
right. But listen, no, hear me out. Hear me out. Davidson's best player, Foster Lawyer. He's great. He's averaging like 20 and 6. His first few games of the year, he was dropping 30 apiece. Great shooter. His brother is a freshman starting for Purdue,
yep,
Fletcher Lawyer,
yep.
and he's a good shooter as well. So I'm just wondering if there's a little script behind that game and if they want to see something interesting with that. Like Foster Lawyer, Fletcher Lawyer, the brothers starting, two of the team's better players. Like I'm excited to see how that could play out. Brothers playing against each other. Like
Yeah,
usually brothers go to the same school, but like this is cool.
I remember I forget who Purdue was playing last week when I was watching. I'm trying to think whoever it was. The announcers are talking about that. They were like, "Oh, the brothers matchup. Who's gonna play more?" I think the guy on Davidson is he a starter?
Yeah, he's their best player.
Oh, he's their best player. Yeah. So realistically, he's gonna go into it and he's be like, "All right, I gotta make sure this kid knows who I am. I'm the better brother here." Hey, imagine they win. Imagine they
That's what I
go
mean.
out there and they
They
win.
That's the reason they assign this matchup though.
Yeah,
Like the kid's a
absolutely.
freshman. They haven't Davidson and Purdue don't play
No.
usually ever. So like it was like they assigned this matchup for a reason. So I just wouldn't be surprised if for some reason like it was semi interesting. Like Purdue maybe wins by 10 instead of 20. Like
Yeah,
I could see something like that. But I'm keeping an eye on that. That'll be a cool little moment.
I agree. That should be fun. That'll be a fun game to watch. Uh, that the Saturday slate would be good. So I definitely recommend watching basketball this
For
weekend.
sure.
Watching college basketball this weekend.
For
You
sure.
won't be let down. You're going to see this weekend why college basketball is better than the NBA. You're going to see a lot more fight, a lot more people that care. You're going to see better defense, and you're going to see some players that can hit some big time shots. You're going to see the best of the best this weekend.
Agreed.
Absolutely. So we're going to move over to the NFL now. We got week 15, 4 games left, or no, 3 games left, 3 weeks left. Not four. It was four last week. So
I
playoff
think there's
pictures
four
kind
games
of.
left though,
Oh yeah, including this week. Yeah,
including
including
this.
this week. There's four. That's right. So 4 games left. The playoff picture is wide open. I mean, NFC, yes, it's wide open, but the AFC, I'm looking over there. there's so many teams available still that can make a spot. The NFC, you know, there's 4 teams that are fighting to get in, and there's realistically only those 4 teams will get in. The AFC has the Dolphins, the Chargers, the Jets, the Patriots, and I think the Jags have a chance.
Yeah, like they technically have like a percentage chance,
Yeah, but I think it's at the division, not even the wild card.
yeah.
So I mean, I'm looking at that, and I look at all those teams. The Dolphins and the Jets, they play Week 18. They play each other, and the Dolphins also have the Bills. So there's matchups that are actually like vulnerable for each team. The Jets have the Seahawks, a team that's fighting out west in the NFC. Um, the Chargers got, I think they played Denver, which is they have that's
their
gonna be a
last
tough game.
Their
Yeah,
last game is against Denver, and I don't know. Wilson got concussed this past week, so I don't know what
yeah.
he's going to be looking like. I'm sure by week 18 he'll play, but yeah, the Chargers have the Titans, the Colts, the Rams, and the Broncos. So the Titans need wins too. So I'm like, and I always worry about the Titans. Like, there's just something about the Titans where I'm like, Ryan Tannehill is a bum, and he could play like one for like last week. The Titans looked absolutely pitiful against the Jets.
Absolutely.
But like the thing is that they could come back and find a way to just like stifle Justin Herbert and play great defense, which it frustrates me. The Titans are such a toss up. So like I'm not writing that. And then hopefully by the time they get to the Broncos are like 3-14 or 3-13 and have no chance. Like they're not gonna have a chance anyway, but like just have no hope left. So like I hope they can, if they can grab 3 of 4, I'm confident that they'll do better than the Jets.
No,
The Pats for sure. The Pats have a tough next 4 games.
yeah. The Pats are really the team that I'm looking at, and I'm like, all right, are they going to get in? I don't think they do. They have the Dolphins and the Bills left, and who's the other team?
They have the Raiders, the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the
Bengals. Like, and even you look at the Raiders. Some people may overlook the Raiders. I'm not overlooking them. Darren Waller's going to be back this week. He missed 10 weeks. I mean, there's no really form of rushing him. They can't make the playoffs, or it's going to be even tough for them. But he's still somebody to look at. Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs have been running wild. Derek Carr, to me, I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback. I mean,
I do too.
I don't know what it is, but some people don't like Derek Carr. I like him. I think he's capable. I think he's a playoff quarterback, playoff talent. But that rest of the schedule for them is brutal, man.
Yeah.
I'm not putting it past Bill, but the teams I think make the AFC, I think the Chargers get in because they deserve to and they need to. That offense is too good to not get in. I mean, the Jets bias is a little bit for me. I just look at their schedule, and
tell me your hot take. Tell me who you think doesn't get in, like you said the other day. Who do you think doesn't? You don't think the Dolphins get in?
I don't think the Dolphins will get in. Now, actually, no. So as of right now, the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Bengals are the wild card teams. The Ravens are leading the division at 9-4. And yes, they don't have Lamar, right? But he's going to come back probably next week. It's not like he's going to sit a long time. He's going to play. So they have the tiebreaker over the Jets because they beat them earlier in the year. But if they win their division, it's the Bengals and the Ravens. Both teams are going to get in. If they win one more game each, they'll both get in. And I look at that week 18 matchup. I like the Jets defense versus the Dolphins. The two corners going at it after it, and I think Tua is just overrated. No, I don't see him making the easy throws you're supposed to. Like he can make these bombs downfield because I could throw a bomb 60 or maybe not 60. I can't reach that far. But if Tyreek Hill is 40 yards down, I throw a 40-yard bomb to somebody that's wide open. Just throw it in the open. He'll get it. Anybody can do that. Those throws are not impressive to me. The impressive throws are the ones down the middle, through the linebackers, and right in front of the safeties. Those are the impressive throws, and he can't do that. He can't even make a wide open screen pass. There's problems with Tua's game. I don't think he can do it. The defense is solid. They're a little bit vulnerable in the back end. Their pass defense, their rushing defense is good. Wilkins up front and Bradley Chubb, like they're studs up there. And if they get to the quarterback every play, maybe they'll have a chance. But they're not going to get there every play. I think the Patriots have too hard of a schedule. Even though they have the tiebreaker on the Jets right now, and so do the Chargers. I just think they're going to lose 3 games. There's no way that they go in there and they win 3 of the next 4. And if they do, they deserve to be in the playoffs. Put it that way, you know. And it's the same thing with like the Chargers. I think they have a easier schedule than the Patriots. They have the tiebreaker over the Jets, but the Jets have the Lions, the Jags, the Dolphins, and the Seahawks. The Dolphins are week 18. Seahawks are week 17. The Lions this week, Jags next week. Jags at home Thursday Night Football. This is the first time the Jets are on prime time, by the way. This young ass defense that they got. You're gonna tell me Sauce isn't gonna be ready to go? You know, Quinn Williams. See, the issue is last week was big. Quinn Williams did go down. He's gonna be 50-50 and week to week, but I don't know. That without him up front, there was a clear change of the game once he went down and got ruled out. And Mike White banged up, rib injuries. Like that's a tough injury because just throwing and running up and down the field, you can take one pop and you're just winded. So realistically, it all depends on if Zach Wilson comes in. I don't trust Zach Wilson right now. I don't trust him at all. I don't think the team likes him. I don't think the team trusts him either. So if he ends up being the guy, if Mike White gets too hurt, then I eliminate the Jets. Even though their defense is top 3 in the league, they can't carry like that. Not with Wilson. So I mean, if
I think the Jets beat the Lions and then lose out. I think they lose to the Jags, the Seahawks, and the Dolphins.
There's no way the Jags are going to beat the Jets. They don't have a good enough run game. They're not. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has been pretty good recently, though. I will say that he's been good downfield.
In that thing.
Yeah, he's been. I saw some stats. I think he was the number 1 quarterback on passes 15 yards or farther in the 5 weeks. I think it was since week 11, maybe 4 weeks, whatever it was, maybe week 10. So I'll give him credit, but I mean I haven't looked at what teams he were playing. The Jets defense is real. It'll be a test for him on the road in the cold because that's Jacksonville. It's warm, easy to throw in warm weather. Can he play in the cold? I don't know.
What do you think about the NFC playoff picture?
Picture's tough because Seattle's got some meaningful games against good teams. They got the Niners this week, tomorrow night. That's tough. That is a tough game.
Chiefs. They have the Chiefs the week after.
And then they got the Jets.
And then the Rams.
And I'm not writing off, I'm just saying good defenses. At the end of the day, when you're playing down crunch time and you're playing these good defenses, is your offense that good? I don't know. Their offense is Gino's playing great. Not taking anything away from Gino. The Chiefs, that's tough to beat the Chiefs. But I could see them going in surprising, shocking the world. I could see them shock the world against the Chiefs, and then the week after playing the Jets, and it's just like, oh, we beat the Chiefs the week before, and they played down. Their level of intensity is high against the Chiefs, and it just comes back to reality a little bit. But this week against the Niners, I don't like them this week either. So if they go in and they play hard, they play tough, they still lose, and then they go into Kansas City the week after, and it's like you go in there and you put up some good points, but Mahomes is going to put up 30. Are you going to outscore him? Back-to-back weeks where you're playing well, and at some points, like I was saying earlier, with Alabama, you're going to fall off. I don't know, man. I don't like Seattle. I want them to because I don't think the Giants deserve to get in. I want Seattle to get in. I want to see Gino in the playoffs. I don't want to see the Giants, but they got too hard of a schedule. I don't even know who they got week 18. Maybe the Rams, I think.
Who?
The Seahawks.
They have the Rams.
Yeah, and that's another matchup, a divisional team where if you have the chance at the playoffs, they're going to come in here firing and be like, hey, buddy, we don't want you to get in there, even though you had a great year.
Here's my hot take. Lions sneak in. They have the Jets, the Panthers, the Bears, the Packers.
No, they have no chance in division. Vikings will have that.
No chance in division. But if they beat the Jets, I think they have a chance to win out because Packers are going to sit. If the Packers go out of contention, they've already hinted at it. Jordan Love's going in.
That's definitely something to watch for Aaron Rodgers and him, but the Lions getting in. I'm not going to doubt it. It's just, can their defense make some timely stops?
That's what we have to wait and see about, because they do give up a lot of points. They've been giving up points all year. I mean, it's really just how their offense bounces back from it. They've had some great drives lead to, game winners, but they typically this year this defense has been pretty mid. But what about you? You have any hot takes for the NFC playoffs?
So when I look at the NFC playoff, so we look at it, the 1 seed gets the bye. That's going to be Eagles. Eagles will get the bye. The Vikings will play whoever's 7. Then the 3 seed would be the Niners. Well, Vikings, Niners, 2-3. The Bucks, whoever wins the South, it's going to be the Bucks. And that's the hot take. The Bucks are going to have a home playoff game against, let's say, even if the Bucks want to win a game in the playoffs, they better hope it's the Cowboys. Put it that way. If it's the Eagles, I think the Eagles can go in there and handle them just fine. But I think the Cowboys will lose on the road in the first week against the Bucks. And yeah, their defense is good, Dallas. Yeah, their offense is kind of electric, and they have 2 good running backs, CeeDee Lamb. Gallup's been playing pretty well. But they might go out there and sign Odell. I think they're a little bit skeptical with him. I don't think Odell will be ready until maybe the second, third week of the playoffs. I don't think he'll be there for week 1, or the wild card round, I should say. So I'm looking at that game as a classic Tom Brady victory in the playoffs. He knows how to win. He knows how to lead a team in the playoffs. He knows what he's got to do, control the clock, do all that, yada, yada, yada. And we know Dallas always figures a way to lose. They don't know how to figure out how to win. In years past, they always do it. The Dez Bryant catch kind of really started it all. The no catch, I should say. That was a catch to me, but that's an argument for a different day. But there's always something, There's always controversy. There's always something with the Cowboys. They're so good. They're Super Bowl bound. They're so good. They're so good. And they lose. Boom, first round. They don't know how to win. Whether it's going to be Dak not making the good throws, because the Bucks defense they still got their good players that they had a couple years ago. But I think the Bucks got that one if they play Dallas. If Dallas beats Eagles next week on Christmas Eve, the Eagles lose another game. I think they play the Giants week 18, and that could be a big game for the Giants. Will the Eagles sit players? If it's for the 1 seed or the division, they won't, obviously. But that's a bigger game for the Giants because the Eagles are in. We know they're in.
Yeah.
Who's going to come out more intensity? Who's going to come out more fire? Who's going to want to win? So we'll have to see after next week, because if it's the Eagles, I still pick them. They're overall way better, and they should win. But I don't like that.
I like that take. Shit's definitely getting interesting in the NFL.
Absolutely.
But let me get into something that's been firing me up lately, like legitimately. The way the NBA is being refereed is pathetic, inconsistent, driving me absolutely insane. Technicals are being thrown left and right. Fines are being thrown left and right. It's absurd. The other night, Luka Doncic gets a technical for yelling at his teammates, right? And by the way, that technical got rescinded. They took that technical away from him.
Good.
Because that's going to be his 6th of the year, which is like kind of a lot. It's early in the year already. You're 6th.
He does like to yell at the referees though a little bit. Not yell, but talk back.
He does. But I'm glad they took that away. But what do you think about all these fines getting thrown out? How easy it is to get a technical these days? Like, I think it's nuts. But what do you think?
So even like the technicals aside, like that's one thing. I as a baseball fan and as somebody who played baseball, I look at technical fouls as like a warning almost of getting thrown out. You're like this close, and in baseball, there's no technical or stuff like that because they allow you to talk back to not talk back crazy bad, but you're allowed to talk to them, ask for explanations, and just you're allowed to get mad. You've seen guys before, coaches, players yell from the dugout, leave the dugout, talk to them, be like, "That's not a strike, buddy." Like, and explain themselves a little bit. And then once they cross that line, they get tossed. Usually, whenever they start cursing at a guy or they make not make fun of, but they say you're not good at your job, you got to pick your shit up. The one thing in baseball that they don't allow is drawing the line. That they don't allow that. You don't show up the umpire. But in the NBA, you say 3 words like, "Oh, you got to be better." You get tossed. It's soft. Did you get it? You get a double tech. Boom, you're gone. See you later, guy. So like that's my problem with that. Just let them talk back to you. Just have thick skin at the end of the day. Like nobody's perfect, right? You could have messed up, and the player understands that does happen. You just gotta let them know. Be like, hey, I might have missed that call. I saw it this way. Maybe it was different, and let them know. People will understand that as long as you're reasonable back to them. But one thing is, you talk about the inconsistent. Jesus Lord, I can't speak. But the other, I think it was 2 weeks ago, a week ago, the Hawks played the Knicks. They called like 15 travel calls on combined on each team. And I was like, even the players just started laughing. Julius Randle in the post game presser, they asked him about it. I was like, oh, the other night you guys gave up X amount of points. And tonight you held the Hawks' great offense to sub 100. I think it was like maybe 80 something, maybe 84, 89, 94, something like that. And he started laughing and immediately goes, yeah, it was a traveling calls. Because the Hawks had a lot. It was a majority of the Hawks players, but the Knicks, they had about maybe 5 or 6, but the rest of them were Hawks. So I don't know what's going on and why it's inconsistent compared to years past. If, because we've seen it in the Donahue documentary about the gambling. Is it the league going back down and saying, we want you to start making some calls, call the game right? Are they watching tape and saying we're seeing a lot more carries, we're seeing a lot more traveling calls that aren't called, and they're looking at it like, hey, these are typically what we see. We're going to call it anyway, even if it's not. I think it could be that.
So that brings up a good point too that I wanted to touch on. When Donahue in that documentary spoke on that one incident where his crew of officials said, you know what, we're going to go after Allen Iverson tonight and we're going to call him for a palming violation just
Yep.
about every chance we get. That makes me think like a, a crew of officials, maybe it's not all the time. Like there could be a message getting sent down from Silver in the league. But like I feel like also the other half of the time, it's just a crew of officials who may have a grudge against somebody that are like going after him. So it's like the Warriors and Mavs a couple weeks ago, like you're saying, 10 plus carries and travels called just between Luka, Steph, and Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
And it's like these are like it's so inconsistent because let's be honest, you can call a carry every possession of every game, but you're not gonna because you're not gonna change anything. Like you're not gonna
Yeah.
change anything. It's just the way the game is now. And when they do carry the ball, when they're bringing it up the floor, like that's not affecting anything. All right, like you call it when it is blatant and it's just way beyond. But like you're not going to call a carry every single possession. It's just the way the game's moving.
See, what I'm thinking in the back of my mind is, I feel as if it's the league sending a message down to the referees, or if it's the referees taking matters into their own hands, saying, we don't like how players are trying to bend the rules a little bit. You know what I mean? Like the James Harden step back, that's creative. They it's not that they bent the rule for that. The rule is a traveling 2 steps, whatever, but the dribble that allows you to take the extra one because that's the pickup, right? The players are just getting creative with it. I feel as if the referees are just seeing that as in they're bending it and they're trying to change the game back a little bit. Like, yo, you guys got to relax a little. Stop doing all this because we're going to call you.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's that. Is it? I don't know. Who knows? You never know until another gambling situation comes out with the referee or something.
It's like another thing, like with Scott Foster. Like, are you really going to try to tell me it's a coincidence that Chris
Yeah.
Paul can't beat Scott Foster? Like, are you going to tell me that's a coincidence?
No.
Like no, I just don't. I just don't think it is. Like
Like
that's
there's
crazy.
coincidences in sports, like how most recently Bronny stole a ball from the team that Carmelo Anthony's son's on, Christ the King, and dunked it on the fast break to go down or up 7, whatever it was. And then his dad, LeBron, did the same exact thing against Carmelo when he was playing at Oak Hill in high school, stole a ball to put his team up 7. Like that, those are like, what are you gonna do? Yeah, that's just coincidence. It is what it is. But in the game, a referee being able to beat one of the best point guards ever every single time he's refereeing a game, come on. You know he's making some calls. You know there's words being said to that or from the player to the referee, and that's why he's calling certain ways.
So I think so. What was it? Maybe last week, Jordan Clarkson came out after a game. I loved what he said. He was talking. He was walking a real fine line because it's even like you can't even say anything after the game. Like it's one thing if you say it to them during the game, but if you badmouth them after the game, it's like a $25,000, $50,000 fine,
Yeah.
depending on what you say. But he was walking a fine line. I liked what he said though. It was perfect. He was like, at the same time, you get upset because we're out here working and these refs don't have to deal with all the outside stuff. They don't get fined. Nothing happens
No,
to them when they miss calls and it changes the situation of the game. He
they're
said
not
everybody
questioned.
makes mistakes, but at some point they've got to be held accountable. I get held accountable for missed shots, turnovers, late game situations.
Yep.
Why can't they?
Yep. No, I absolutely agree with that. The league needs to go in there and how the league also gets these guys in the playoffs, like the referees that get picked to go do the NBA finals, the All-Star game, all these big time games that everybody wants is based off performance. But they're doing it off of how the league is, like wanting them to call the games. It's not as if they're doing it properly and well. It's based off of how the league views it. So Clarkson is like, all right, look, these may be good for the league, but you're not making the good calls for the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there needs to be a little bit more accountability. It's not as if you're going to have a referee get interviewed at a post game presser. No one's going to care about that. But if there's clear as day stuff going on, there needs to be some accountability, some investigations into Scott Foster, why Chris Paul can't win. Like, just to make sure, at the end of the day, just make sure the game's fair. We've seen it before with some gambling, so why can't it happen again?
My other issue with the refereeing is like this. Most of these guys that ref haven't like played basketball or they
At a high
study a
level.
book, and take a class to become a referee. Like
Yeah.
in 15 years or so, I think refereeing and officiating will become much better because as like the younger people in the generation now start to I think a lot of people are going to want to start to become refs. Like people that are like passionate about basketball, I think are really going to start to like try to take matters into their own hands. And then it's like these kids who will be refs in maybe 15 years, 20 years, they will have been a part of the evolution of the game. So like they'll understand why things are happening the way they are and like understand what should be called and what shouldn't. Like, yeah, if you, like I was saying, if you want to go out there and call a carry every possession, you can. But they choose what games they want to do that for. It's ridiculous. Like they're
I
trying
think
to
you might
take
be
the
able to
game
see
away.
some former players go out there.
Yeah, like that
Richard
would make
Jefferson
that
tried
would be
it.
nice. Yeah, he must not have done well. He didn't really do well. I watched the game he did it. He didn't really do that well. But like still, former players should, give it a shot.
They go the broadcasting way though. You get more money that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus,
I
when
just
they retire, they don't want to keep doing like the traveling aspect. They want to be with their families. They don't want to be not doing as much like running around, be physically fit. So that's one thing. But still, yeah,
like
no, I agree.
like Joey Crawford. That guy was like the worst referee I had ever seen. And he was like the Angel Hernandez of
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah.
Angel Hernandez guy.
Like it was brutal. And it makes you think like, what did this guy like forget to read something out of his book or does he not even know the game? Like these guys just like had to study a book to get this refereeing course. Like they really just don't know the game to a certain extent. And it drives me nuts.
No, I absolutely agree with that. I fully understand because they got to figure it out. It's just too inconsistent right now.
I agree.
That's all it is.
I agree.
So, I mean, we'll see what goes on with that, but I don't really see. I think the NBA is too soft of a league. I don't think much is going to change.
I don't either for a little bit, but I think like I was saying, maybe 15, 20 years, we get some young bucks coming in, trying to referee, trying to make a change for the better. Kids that have been
Yeah,
evolving with the game instead of these
ab-
50, 60-year-old men.
absolutely. Well,
But
but that's all we got for this week on this episode of Teed Up. Like as always, like, follow, comment, subscribe, everything you got to do. Uh, Make sure you guys tune in on Saturday for this college basketball, and let us know in the comments and let us know what game you guys are looking forward to. Maybe next week we'll do a little recap of it. We'll see. Might be some big shakeups in the top 25 after this week. Some big teams might go down, some big wins, unranked teams might come into it. So let us know, and we'll see you guys next week.